Today on this special edition of Jerusalem Dateline, Excavations in the Judean desert unearth the biggest archaeological finds since the Dead Sea Scrolls. And join us as we go back in time to visit the hometown of Mary Magdalene. Plus, take a stroll on the biblical Superhighway. All this and more on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Julie Stahl. The first manuscripts of the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in Qumran in 1947. Decades later, the Judean desert is still revealing archaeological mysteries. Last year, the Israel Antiquities Authority uncovered some of the most significant discoveries since the Dead Sea Scrolls. Some of the finds go back more than 10,000 years. Chris Mitchell has this story.
Since 2017, Israeli archaeologists have surveyed the ravines and caves of the Judean desert. The Israel Antiquities Authority put together the 4-year project to prevent robbers from looting priceless artifacts. Work included rappelling more than 200 feet down to one of the main caves. Inside, the team dug and sifted soil not touched for nearly 2 millennia. Their work uncovered biblical treasures, including pieces of scrolls nearly 2,000 years old.
Wow.
Then they made the precarious trek up the cliffs, taking the treasures to the Israel Museum.
It's a great day. Actually, it's a day where we can show our work in the last 4 years in the desert. It's Sisyphic work, but you can see that we found many significant artifacts and items that belong to the state of Israel.
Perhaps the most important finds are these scrolls from the book of Zechariah and Nahum. These are the first biblical scrolls found in the Judean desert in nearly 60 years. The Jews who fled the Romans in 70 AD brought this scroll to the cave.
They took with them only what was most important to them and what was essential for surviving, and this is one of the things that they took. And this tells us something about how strong their belief was. And one could always assume that they read the words of the prophets here and found some sort of a consolation during their troubled times.
The recovered portion of the scroll comes from the book of Zechariah that says, "These are the things you are to do. Speak the truth to one another. Render true and perfect justice in your gates, and do not contrive evil against one another, and do not love perjury, because all those are things that I hate, declares the Lord."
It was also very striking to find these specific verses. I read it a bit as a kind of a message that is transcends time.
The team also uncovered the 6,000-year-old body of a child and found an intact basket that they sent for carbon dating.
When the results came back, we were amazed. It is 10,500 years old. It's so unique. It's the only example that looks like this from that time in Israel and maybe in the world.
The find shed light on Jewish history. These coins from the Bar Kokhba revolt against the Romans carry inscriptions that refer to the times of King David and King Solomon. These coins are from the time of Jerusalem's destruction in 70 AD.
It's the Jewish people's story. Wow. The scrolls that we found, the fugitives, the coins, the weapons from the rebellions. But it's not only the story of the Jewish people, the story of the humankind.
Back in the Judean desert, archaeologists say there are still hundreds of caves left to explore, with the promise of finding more biblical scrolls and historic artifacts. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, the Israel Museum, Jerusalem.
Now we take you to northern Israel, where an amazing discovery has been made in the Galilee. It's a first-century Jewish synagogue in the city many believe was the home of Mary Magdalene. So what's the significance of this incredible find? Scott Ross takes us to the city of Magdala to find out.
Located on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee, Magdala sits at a crossroad of Jewish and Christian history.
Magdala is very significant already just in general culture. One of the most known figures of Christian discipleship is Mary of Magdala. What's the importance of Magdala for the Jewish people? It's a first century town and a very significant excavation in the first century for the Jewish culture.
In 2005, Father Juan Solana initiated the Magdala Project to highlight the ministry of Jesus and an opportunity to honor women of faith. They broke ground in 2009, and what happened next, Father Eamon Kelly describes as providence.
We bought this piece of land, and then to find it in Magdala, the land, and not just on any hill around the Sea of Galilee. And then you start digging with two prayers. Lord, spare us from archaeology, because it's an expensive hobby. And then a big delay for all the project. The second prayer was, if you do give us archaeology, give us something good. And so we find this incredible discovery of a first-century synagogue.
Seated in the synagogue, Father Kelly told me about some of the features that make it so amazing.
So we're in a very big room. And we see it's organized with 2 rows of seating here in the central part, and we have another row of seating inside the outer walls. This is a space that's not a family home. It's a very ornate community room that has this mosaic and the frescoes, and the mosaic has 2 parts, the rosette mosaic with the 3 colors, but now the specialists are telling us there are 26 colors in the mosaic, and then we have the unending pattern, which shocks some people, but they say this was also in the temple in Jerusalem. And then we have the Magdala stone right bang here. This is the place where we found it. Now, this and the one out there are copies. It's considered and treasured by many archaeologists on the level of the Dead Sea Scrolls in terms of archaeological importance.
Archaeologist Moti Aviam proposed the theory of the Magdala stone, resembling the second temple of Jesus' day.
And I suggested that what we have here is some kind of a model, symbolic of the temple in Jerusalem. We have the menorah, we have the altar, the golden altar, we have the showbread table, and we have a scene into the Holy of Holies.
Because of the commandment against graven images, Aviam says the choice was to portray God symbolically in a divine chariot.
As it is in the book of Zechariah and many other books from the Second Temple period, which gives us a description of the chariot on which God is riding.
So what is the significance then of Magdala, going back in biblical history?
Magdala today gives the largest view, archaeologically, of the time of Jesus.
While there's no physical evidence that Jesus visited Magdala, Father Kelly says the signs are there.
Scott, every day, every group asks me this question, was Jesus here? Was he in this synagogue? Was he in Magdala? And I say, we don't know because we lost all the videos. Jesus was surely present in Galilee, and this is on the path from Nazareth to Capernaum. There's a port here, and he's always crossing the lake. This is a Mecca for the Galilean fishermen.
At Magdala, the Duke Al-Azam Center is a place for people of different faiths to worship. Its Latin name is taken from Luke, where Jesus tells Peter to launch into the deep. The atrium is designed to honor the Jewish women who followed Jesus in the New Testament. 4 smaller chapels include mosaics illustrating biblical events. And in the boat chapel, a unique boat-shaped altar overlooks the Sea of Galilee.
When the gospel is proclaimed up there at the microphone, it looks like Jesus is preaching again to us from the boat. Imagine you're having liturgy here, prayer, and the boats are going by. It allows people to get into the moment of the gospel happenings.
And downstairs is the Encounter Chapel, where Father Kelly says he believes God is healing divisions between Christians and the Jewish community.
This is part of the road of the first century port. So you know the names of any first century fishermen? So who walked on this street?
Yes.
Now, if Jesus came to Magdala, I say he was more often on this street than he was in the synagogue, in our synagogue.
Magdala is staffed in part by international volunteers.
I never been in Holy Land before, so it was taking a huge risk. It was very surprising to see what we think about Israel, the Holy Land, and coming here and seeing the reality.
And that guest house for pilgrims? It opened just recently. What's the vision for the future now?
We had to make quite a few adjustments because of the archaeological discoveries, which enriched the site immensely, enriched it with meaning. And then by finding a synagogue, a huge increase of the Jewish-Christian dialogue, and also the Christian-to-Christian encounter, because here we have a place where we were not divided.
Scott Ross for CBN at Magdala in the Galilee, Israel.
Coming up, an ancient road buried for thousands of years is unearthed.
Now, for a limited time, you can get 5 of CBN's critically acclaimed documentaries. Experience the rebirth of the modern state of Israel.
The historic bonds between the Jewish people and the land of Israel cannot be broken.
Relive the battle for Jerusalem in the Six-Day War.
Jerusalem is yours, forever.
Discover how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
When people need us, we volunteer and we come and help.
Explore the world of Israeli technological innovation.
We're people of dreams. God gives us dreams. And that's really the roots, I think, of much of our innovation.
And understand the biggest land dispute in history.
Many Palestinian Arabs claim that the Jews stole Arab land. But is that the real story?
This exclusive Israel DVD collection can be yours for a gift of $29.99 or more. Call now or go online to get your Israel DVD bundle, which includes streaming access. Download the CBN News app, 24/7 news from a Christian perspective at home or on the road. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Set daily prayer goals and pray for news stories. Read the most important news and watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Go to cbnnewsapp.com to get the app today. Now is the time for Christians to oppose the anti-Israel boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. In CBN's free guide, Stop the Boycott of Israel, you'll learn about this malicious economic warfare against the Jewish nation. And you'll find out how you can stand beside Israel, the birthplace of our Bible, faith, and Jewish Savior. Get your free copy today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/BDS.
In ancient Israel, the Jewish people obeyed the biblical commandment to travel to Jerusalem 3 times a year for a temple sacrifice. 2,000 years later, the road they walked is uncovered for all to see. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell takes us on that road.
They call it the biblical Superhighway, the pilgrim's path that led to the Jewish temple in ancient times.
The places and events and the peoples that make Jerusalem, Jerusalem. For Christians, for Jews, it all happened here in the city of David. This is where the beating heart of Jerusalem is. We're talking about the Pool of Siloam. We're talking about Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount. We're talking about the city of David. The pilgrimage road links them all together.
For Jews in ancient days, their pilgrimage began here at the Pool of Siloam. It's a mikveh or ritual bath. It's the size of 2 Olympic swimming pools. They would purify themselves here before going up to the Temple Mount to worship God.
The historian Josephus says that 2,000 years ago, on the pilgrimage festivals, there would have been more than 2 million people going up on pilgrimage. That's a lot of people who need to bathe.
The pool is also where Jesus healed the blind man, as recounted in the book of John. Its location was hidden by a road until 15 years ago, when a sewage leak led to excavations, the discovery of the pool, and much more.
The archaeologists, when they find the Pool of Siloam, so they understand if that's the pool, and they know where the temple stood on the Temple Mount some 2,000 years ago. The same Temple Mount as today.
Zev Orenstein with the City of David Foundation says archaeologists wondered how the pilgrims traveled from the pool to the Temple Mount.
So the archaeologists widened the excavation, and we are standing on the very answer to that question. We are standing atop the ancient pilgrimage road.
These are the stones that Jesus would have walked on his way up to the temple. And now the significance of the excavation of the pilgrimage road is that for the first time in 2,000 years, visitors will be able to walk all the way from the Pool of Siloam up to the Western Wall.
The word in the Bible, the Hebrew words, is aliyah l'regel, or ole regel. Now what we understand that to mean is it's a spiritual ascent. You're going up to the temple, going to Jerusalem. It's a very holy place. But Chris, when you're in the place where the Bible happened, the words of the Bible come to life. Because as we're walking right now, and I'm sure you could feel it, we're walking uphill.
And it was more than that.
This would have been like Times Square. You would have had on both sides of the road, and keep in mind, the road is about 3, 4, 5 times wider than what we see over here. You would have had shops, stalls along both sides of the road. This is the center of Jerusalem from a spiritual perspective, from a communal perspective, also from a commerce perspective.
According to the Israel Antiquities Authority, the road took 10 years to build, from 20 to 30 AD, and was constructed by Pontius Pilate.
One of the major issues of Jerusalem is that it's a living city. All the layers, all the archaeological layers are built on top of one another, and the modern living quarters and everything is built on top of the archaeological layers.
Excavation manager Ari Levy says uncovering the road is a major engineering feat.
We have modern neighborhood just above our heads, and we don't want it to collapse. After each meter that we take out, each meter of soil, we enter an arch-like construction like this. This supports the entire weight of what we have above us.
Along the route, you can see many places where the road remains intact and others where it's destroyed, given its violent history.
We know that the Romans, they destroyed Jerusalem. And if you would find everything perfectly intact, well, it wouldn't seem like much of a destruction.
Among the discovered treasures are small coins minted during the Great Jewish Revolt, before the Romans destroyed the Temple and Jerusalem in 70 AD. Scholars often wonder why the Jews made worthless coins instead of weapons. Orenstein has the answer.
Jews of Jerusalem understood that the Romans were likely going to destroy the city, but they also believed that one day in the future, their descendants would return and find these coins, and they would know what their ancestors lived and died for a free Jerusalem. And here we are nearly 2,000 years later, standing along the very same pilgrimage road here in the city of David, in Jerusalem, the capital of the Jewish state of Israel.
Half of the pilgrimage road will open soon to the public, and within a few years, all the way from the Pool of Siloam to the Western Wall. That will give visitors a first-hand experience of what it was like to worship God in the time of Jesus. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, along the pilgrimage road in the city of David, Jerusalem.
Up next, a little girl makes a big archaeological discovery in the city of Jerusalem.
Names from the Old Testament are being unearthed all over the city of Jerusalem.
This was amazing. Come as close as you can get to personalities that are known from the Bible.
Astonishing discoveries made today.
A jaw-dropping moment of Bible archaeology.
This is much more than a thrill. This is actual history that took place here on the site where we sit right now.
Confirm the kings and prophets of the Bible left real evidence of their lives.
Right time, the right place, with the right people.
And one of the most significant finds in recent history.
Exactly as the Bible tells us happened in the days of King Hezekiah.
Written in stone, kings and prophets.
We have the Bible and we have archaeologists. Hearing our story, it's matching.
The Old Testament is a reliable history book.
Get your copy today for a gift of any dollar amount. Call now or go to cbn.com/written in stone.
Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Get Superbook's Heroes of the Bible bonus. 3 stories of people who fought giants, faced rulers, and stood strong for their faith, and overcame. Join the CBN Animation Club and get Gizmo Go, Quantum Karaoke, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. And as part of our Heroes of the Bible bonus, receive 3 additional Superbook episodes as our way of saying thanks.
An 11-year-old girl uncovered a significant archaeological find during a family outing in Jerusalem. The discovery sheds new light on what life was like in the Holy City 2,000 years ago. Chris Mitchell reports.
In the Emek Zurim Park, visitors can sift through debris from the ongoing excavation in the city of David. That's where Liel Krudakop found a rare silver coin from the time of the Second Temple.
It feels something not normal. And I go to their archaeologist, was there, and he cleaned it a little bit, and then he told me, and for my family, that's a silver coin.
At first, Liel's father thought they should throw it away.
Actually, it didn't look like a coin, so I was thinking to myself, this is some kind of stone, and actually I told to the girls put it in the garbage can. But they insisted that this is a coin, and they took the coin to the archaeologist that was on the site, and he confirmed that this is indeed a coin.
I was very excited, and It's like some happy feel because somebody touched it before 2,000 years and right now I'm touched.
This is a very rare find. Together with this silver coin, we know from the archaeological documentation only 30 others silver coins from the rebellion.
The coin has 2 Hebrew inscriptions.
We can see here the words in ancient Hebrew, Shekel Israel, and a second line with 2 Hebrew letters, Shin Bet, which means the second year of the rebellion against the Romans, 67-8 AD. On the other side of the coin, we have another inscription in ancient Hebrew, which says, LeYerushalayim HaKdosha, to Holy Jerusalem.
Archaeologists believe the high priest in the temple wanted the coin to help pay for the revolt against the Romans.
Coins were minted in order to emphasize independence of certain communities. So the Jews that rebelled against the Romans wanted to emphasize that they are independent.
The Hebrew wording on the coin harkens back to the first temple for a reason.
To the time of King David and his son King Solomon. The Jews wanted to emphasize their connection to the great kingdom of Israel led by King David. They missed it. They wanted their kingdom to be as large as King David's kingdom.
The coin came from a layer of debris dating to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD.
I'm standing on the remains of the ancient pilgrimage road that led Jews from all over the world to the temple itself. When the Romans destroyed Jerusalem and the street itself, all the structures that stood on both sides of this street collapsed into one pile.
To Levy, the discovery is like traveling back in time.
To hold this silver coin is like going back 2,000 years ago and actually touching the daily life of the people that lived in Jerusalem.
Liel's mother sees it as more proof of Jewish life in Jerusalem.
It tells a lot about the history, about the people that lived here, about everything, about the history of this place, of Jerusalem, and the meaning of this place to us, to the Israelis, to the Jewish people. So yes, it means a lot.
Coming up, we take you to the city where Jesus performed his first miracle.
Thank you for watching Jerusalem Dateline. We're committed to providing you with unbiased reporting from the Holy Land. Through weekly broadcasts, podcasts, and online media, our vision is to reach millions around the globe with the true story of what's happening in Israel and the Middle East, all from a biblical and prophetic perspective. This is a big vision and is only made possible by the generous support of people like you.
Call us toll-free at 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/Jerusalem Dateline and make a donation that will help spread the light of truth about Israel throughout the world.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
Archaeologists excavating in Galilee say they have found a rare workshop from the time of Jesus, and they say it highlights Jewish practices at that time. Building in Israel often turns up ancient surprises, like this 2,000-year-old workshop during the construction of a new sports center in the area of biblical Cana in the Galilee.
What we have here is a cave, an artificially hewn cave, which was hewn out by ancient quarriers 2,000 years ago. So this was both a quarry and a workshop for the production of stone vessels.
Ariel University archaeologist Dr. Yonatan Adler is heading the excavation.
We have a huge amount of production waste, which includes both cores, which were taken out from the inside of mugs and bowls, which were produced here. Vessels that had broken during the production process.
Archaeologists uncovered literally thousands of these cores at the site, and what the craftsmen threw away as production waste 2,000 years ago has become a treasure today.
This is an exciting find, and here for the first time we have production sites in Galilee, which we're able to excavate, and to learn more about the observance of ritual purity 2,000 years ago.
The New Testament specifically mentions stone vessels and purification laws when Jesus turns the water into wine at the wedding in Cana. Now there were set there 6 water pots of stone, according to the manner of purification of the Jews.
Stone is a material that doesn't become impure, as opposed to pottery vessels. If they came in contact with something impure or a corpse or something like that, then the pottery vessel would become impure and it would have to be broken. It couldn't be reused.
Israel Antiquities Authority archaeologist Yardena Alexander said stone is considered pure all the time.
If the population was concerned with keeping the purity laws, then they would make sure that they'd have some of these chalk vessels in the houses.
Archaeologists haven't found any large stone vessels like the water jugs at Cana at the site yet, but they hope to be allowed to continue to excavate for more ancient treasures despite the building of the new sports center. That's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can also access CBN content through our CBN News and other CBN apps. And don't forget to sign up for our email blasts so you can continue to receive all of our exciting CBN content. And remember, the God who's watching over Israel, and you and me, neither slumbers nor sleeps. I'm Julie Stahl. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.